Hey guys, it's Kimberlee and welcome back to my channel. I make videos on all things lifestyle on a budget, and I am so excited to share with you guys my 3-month plan to finally paying off this credit card debt. It is a long time coming. If you saw my most recent video, you got a full detailed explanation of what I spend an entire week. You also got to see what kind of financial debt I'm in and also how I feel about that debt. So now that we know that I do still have a plan. I wanted to share my 3-month plan for paying off this credit card debt. Also what I'm doing in the meantime as well. So I'm not just paying down debt, but I'm still trying to keep up with my investments and my savings as well, so that we're kind of, working in tandem. Now that may or may not go against what all the financial advisors say. I definitely shared in my last video some financial advisors that I thought were really great that I kind of started with to get a lot of information and to tailor it to what would work for me. So when I'm sharing this information, this is all based on my experience of what I'm doing. If something resonates with you, sure, take it, adapt it, and use it for yourself. If something doesn't resonate with you, that is totally fine. But let's be honest, when I say we're paying off the credit card debt, obviously I'm gonna clear it down. I'll still be paying monthly towards a couple of things, and the goal is that I'll be paying it off right away. But I'm sure a bigger purchase might come in the future. So I'm not saying it's debt free and I'm never gonna have debt again. That would be amazing, but this is just a reality check that I'm sure something else will come along. But it is nice to kind of get back to that potential zero and then start building from there. Definitely the light is at the end of the tunnel, and I feel like in these next 3 months, by June, I should be good to go. We pray. And then I can move on to some other stuff. So I want to go in and share exactly what I'm planning to do over the course of an entire month. My idea is kind of based on the 4 weeks in the month. And in theory, I feel like this will allow me to stretch within the budget that I have so that I'm using my money and also maybe getting something back from it, down the line. So the first thing I have is that I plan in the week 1, which I did last week, was to pay a large chunk to my credit card debt. So in this case, I am planning out $1,000 because like I said, I have about 2,900. I don't claim 29,000. Let's just do 2,900. So I have 2,900 left over. So I want to do about 1,000 each month. So 1,000, 1,000, and then 900. 3 months to go. So maybe June or July. The reason why I'm doing it at the beginning of the month, and I hope I can find this information somewhere to back it up. If not, I'm sorry. I just taken a lot of information and I go from there. But I had read or heard somewhere that there's an opening date and a closing date of your credit card statement. If you happen to pay your bill earlier in the month, that'll lower what that high limit is, and that's the amount that your interest is kind of based on. So say for example, it's $4,000, but for the entire month until you pay that bill, your interest rate is going to be determined by that $4,000 for all those days. Now, if you pay your credit card bill earlier in the month or like around the 15th, then you'll have, say, 15 days at that $4,000 rate, and then 15 days or until the next closing date at that lower rate. The more days you have at that lower balance, the lower your interest rate is going to be. That is the best way that I can explain it. But what I took away from that is, if I pay my credit card sooner, if I can, it's going to give me the lower interest rate because it is at that lower balance, which is great because, previously, if your credit card is due on the 23rd and the closing statement is the 28th, you only have like 5 days. So your interest rate is not gonna be that much smaller. I thought that was really amazing and encouraged me to pay my credit card earlier in the month so that I have it at that lower interest rate. Another great tip that I got from someone early on was through the Budgetnista. Technically, this is supposed to be after you pay down your credit card debt, but she encourages you to put your bills on auto pay through your credit card. Takes out the money, and that's enough that you can just pay back the next month. So having your bills on auto pay through your credit card, I adapted that even before this debt was down, and I actually love it. So the bills that I have on auto pay for my credit card are Amazon Prime, my cell phone, Netflix, a casting submission website, and Tidal Music. So that's pretty much it that I have on there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Electricity, internet, and my rent are what come out of my regular checking account. Kind of splits up the bills, which is great. That amount is going to be so small once I'm done with my credit card debt. So that's why I don't really mind that it's there, because even when I'm adding in like the $1,000, like it's covering that. So technically you're supposed to do it after you've paid down your debt, but we're just, it just happened and I love it. So that's what I'm already doing. So I've already adapted that. So week 2 and week 3 of the month is when I'm going to be focusing on my investments. So one of the weeks I'll do $200 towards my Roth IRA, and the other week I'll do $200 towards a brokerage account that I have. I'm sure if you do the math, you're like, wait, but that doesn't add up to the $6,000 that you're supposed to max out. That is not my focus right now. My focus right now is to put most of my money towards my credit card debt, and then once that's done, like, I'll have more to invest for my savings. So I haven't decided which one I'm gonna do first. This is not money that's coming back to me right away, so it doesn't really matter if I do the Roth first for 1 week and then the second week I do the brokerage, or I switch it around. I wanted to get into a habit of consistently setting aside money to put away for the rainy days and then put away for the investments in the future. Again, go back and watch my other video if you're looking for information on who I recommend for when you're starting out to learn all this information about financial stuff, because a lot of those people do also talk about investments, and I do feel like they have really great information. So I'm, again, on the beginner level, only started studying this stuff and learning about it in the last 2 years. So I am playing the catch-up game, but you know, starving artist, that's how it goes. Okay, and so in the last week in the month, week 4, I just leave that for bills, anything else that I have like left over that I need to pay. That's usually around the time that bills come out, and then I like to keep space so that I can focus on my rent. The rent stays in my head like all month, so I'm never tapping into that money. That's like, that is untouchable. I always make sure that I pay that well before it's due, so it's not last minute or there's no hold up in the bank or anything like that. So definitely at least like 3 or 4 days in advance. Now, if you have any interest in kind of budgeting out like I have, you can interchange how you like. Very gentle, as you can see, in that it's flexible. So say you wanna, you know, do your credit card the first week and then you wanna have a break of a week and do nothing, you can do nothing because there are no rules. This is just kind of what I feel like could work for me. I also wanna say that I get paid weekly, so that is why I'm able to kind of like, you know, do the math on things. But if you're paid bi-weekly, you can adjust how you like. The most important thing is the current bills that I have now, making sure I have money for that. Then it becomes the credit card debt. Then it becomes the investments, which I don't think of more so as a bill, but I think of that as like something good or positive, something that I'm wanting to spend my money on, almost like a treat, but not really, but just something that I actually want to spend my money on. Versus like, who wants to pay bills? No one. So that is my 3-month plan. I'm really excited about it. It's helpful for me to have plans. They motivate me. They make me really excited. Again, like I said, I've been loving researching all of this. It's just something that I just didn't know growing up, or just wasn't the focus. It was more just survival mode. And so now that I'm in a position where I can do a little bit more, I want to just move at my own pace. This is Budget Lifestyle. I'm a dancer actor living in the city. I'm not a finance bro or sis. I feel like there's no amount that's too small. I could have done a whole video on just saying that I'm gonna move $50 every week and, you know, put $50 into my investments. That's fine. Like, whatever you have, whatever works for you. If you've got large amounts that you can move, if you've got small amounts, like, every little bit helps. And the one thing that I feel like I have learned a lot from everyone across the board feels like, don't just have your money sitting in your accounts because it doesn't grow in these regular bank accounts. If there's some that I can set aside to grow while it's sitting somewhere else, I definitely want to try that out. I mean, and yes, the flip side to all of this is just paying it all off and then spending the next couple months like really scaling back and really not spending money so that I could rebuild that all back. But I'd rather do it at this pace instead, so I still have my life and I still feel like I'm experiencing things without feeling the burden of debt. There's a balance going on. Maybe that's my Libra mindset going, which I do strive for balance a lot. It just keeps the peace. So maybe that's what it is, but I feel like this plan is good for me. And if it's at all helpful to you, definitely, you know, take what you want from it. I like to hear other people's opinions on what they're doing, so definitely comment down below if you have a goal or plan of what you're doing or how you're paying things down. I'm curious if you guys have your student loans. How do you guys feel with the government continuing the student loan forgiveness? Like, does pushing it back help in that you're like, yes, I have more time? Or are you wondering if maybe a time will come where they'll just, you know, cancel all student loan debt or something like that and you won't have to pay out? So are you holding out on paying it because it's getting pushed back, or are you actually still actively paying it down because, you know, you don't want to wait for something that may or may not happen? Hopefully that all works out. Like I keep saying, let's have a conversation down below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.